Nothing can stop a mind that understands itself. Nothing can stop a mind that understands itself. What does this mean? Caption on this quote is one of my favorite quotes that I ever said before. Ever. Awareness is freedom. Awareness is freedom. Nothing can stop a mind that understands itself. What does it mean to understand yourself? What does this mean in a real way? What does it mean to understand yourself? Now, we talk about the understanding of oneself. People think you talk about, they think you talk about your interest. They think you talk about, hey, what's the type of food that I like. This is what I do. This is what I do for work, or this is like the surface level things. When people think about the understanding of oneself, people go into surface level things, right? Like, I understand myself and how I am and what I do, and this is how I do things, and this is just the way I am. But nobody goes deeper. Very few people go deeper. The understanding of oneself is the understanding of you and I, right? The understanding of the mind, the understanding what's actually going on in a real way. The understanding that fear is an actual illusion. Right? And if we understand that fear is an actual illusion, that fear is not real, that fear is thoughts that we create or what we think is going to happen, right? We look at a situation and based on our perception, our experiences, our outlook on life, what we choose to focus on, right? We create this fear on what's going to happen. Fear of not being able to pay the bills, fear of being lonely, fear of being judged, fear of failure, all these fears that we create. The understanding that this is an illusion, that it's not real, right? We would dive into deeper on why we're creating these illusions to begin with. We will look at the reason why we're creating these illusions, right? Also, when it comes to the understanding of failure, when it comes, again, understanding oneself, the human mind, understanding the mind in a real way, how easily and how sensitive the mind is. If you understand the mind, if you understand yourself, you will watch the food you eat, right? You will watch the food you eat because it does have an extreme impact on how you view yourself, how you view the world, and how you feel in a real way. Now, this is not telling people, eat healthy, don't do this. This is not giving people advice. This is fact, right? What you are what you consume, right? You are what you consume. So if you're eating foods that give you energy, you have the ability to think. If you have foods that take away energy and you're sluggish and you're like, then just imagine how you're gonna think, right? So again, feeding the body what it needs, drinking water, staying hydrated. Again, the understanding of oneself. The understanding of how the human body and the human mind works in a real way. Now, not the technical terms of what's going on in the brain and all the scientific terms. We're talking about who we are and what we do as human beings, right? And this is so deep. It's so deep. In order to see this, one has to break away from their conditioning. One has to break away from their opinions. One has to break away of what they believe to be true. They have to break away what they think they know and question everything, right? Because the human mind, again, it's so sensitive. It's so sensitive. The human mind is so sensitive how you can see a headline on what's happening on social media and your mind instantly creates all these assumptions of what it thinks is going on. Right? A headline says, the world is coming to an end. Here's what's going to happen. We have 10 days to live. You're like, oh, shit. Automatically, because you read that, the mind automatically takes that as truth instead of questioning it and seeing it. Why it does that? Why does the mind do that? The mind does that for its own protection, right? Because if that were to be true, right, you want to prepare yourself. You want to prepare yourself for what's to come. Like for the fears that you create in your own mind. You create these fears because the mind is protecting you. okay, I don't want to do this because what if I get into this situation and I fail and then I go through this and I go through this obstacle and then I'm in the streets and I don't have money, or if I don't eat, or if this breakup happens, or I'm going to be hurt, and then da. All these fears of what people think is going to happen, so they look to protect themselves. But what if I told you nothing can stop a mind that understands this entire process? Because when you understand this process, you start to challenge yourself in a real way. You start to question yourself in a real way. You start to move in a certain way where it doesn't really matter what happens. What matters most is how you respond. But you start to understand that in a real way. You start making the decisions that is most healthiest for the body and mind, so you can just see. So you can just be able to see. Like you're able to see. I'm able to see. I'm able to see. I'm able to question. I'm able to dive into it. I'm able to adjust. I'm able to adapt. I'm able to observe, because we understand the process of how this works. We understand ourselves. We understand that we create illusions, right? We understand that our mind is easily manipulated, or is so sensitive that at any moment, if you feel a certain way, you will project how you see the world, right? There's things that you are overlooking in the mind. There's certain details in the mind that you're overlooking about yourself. Certain insecurities that you don't address. Certain problems in the mind that you don't understand. And when you don't understand what depression is or anxiety is, not the label or the definition that you heard from a therapist, or the label and definition that you hear from everybody else talking about it. Not all of these words like they're toxic and all these other words that people use to describe what's going on. I'm talking about removal of the word, but the understanding of the process. Is it possible that we can have a removal of the word and understand the process? Anthony, what does this mean? What are you talking about? The process of depression, the process of what they call anxiety. Not just accept it because you see certain symptoms, the process of it. What is actually going on? What is the process of this? The process of your fears, the process of your insecurities, the process. Understanding how this is happening, why this is happening, why you just accept this. Again, nothing can stop a mind that understands itself. That understands itself. Not just because you understand the labels that you've been given. I've been given ADHD. That was the label that they said I had. I have ADHD. Now, can you imagine if I just accepted that as a kid? Then what would happen? Think about it. If I were just to accept that without question, I'll be on these pills. I'll be on this living this certain way. I'll be creating my own limitations because I don't really understand. I was told something. I just accepted. That means when I just accept, I lose interest. I don't dive into it, right? I don't dive into it and then I just ignore it. I do not see myself because I just accepted the labels and what I was told was to be true. And many of you right now are living a life where you're living a life of just accepting what everybody else claims to be true, right? What everybody else says is the right way, the wrong way. What everybody else says that you have, or here's your problem, here's the right way to live. When in actuality, there's no right way to live. There's no wrong way to live. There's only consequences. Again, nothing can stop a mind that understands itself. And if we can understand ourselves outside of our judgments, outside of this, what we believe to be true, right? We question things so we can understand in a real way. You will move without hesitation. You will move without doubt. You will move knowing that failure is the greatest teacher of them all. There is no fear of, feeling failure makes no sense when that's the foundation of being a human being. Fearing failure makes no sense when that's the foundation of who we are. How we learn certain things. Like, oh shit, what is this? Oh, I can't eat this, right? I can't eat that. Oh, I picked this up. What is this? Oh, I eat it. Oh, wow, we're going to call this an apple. This is an apple, right? While somebody else ate something and they got poison in their body. Now they took one home for the team and everybody's like, okay, well, we can't eat that. We can't eat that, right? Like, we can't eat that. So we've learned failure is part of the process. To fear failure makes no sense at all, because it's part of who we are and what we do. Again, the understanding of oneself. Awareness is freedom, right? Nothing can stop a mind that understands itself. If we can understand that failure is the foundation of who we are and what we do, it's how we got to this point. It's how we got to this point. It's like, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. How do you think that the phone was created in one try? Do you think everything was created in one try? You think everything was in one attempt? You think one time, okay, we're going to create this cell phone, we're going to put a satellite, it's going to work. No, it doesn't work. Got to figure it out. What else? Everything that you see was attempted and done. It was done one time. It was done a few times. It was done 10,000 times. Failed and adjust, fail and adjust, fail and adjust. So to fear failure as if you have no control over how you respond to whatever comes your way is silly, right? It's silly. If we think about it right now, just take a second, stop for a second, go like this and really think about, fearing failure. When failure is part of who we are, it's silly, right? It's silly. It's silly. But how can we see that? How can we see that? Because we are conditioned a certain way. This idea, right? This idea of being of perfection. This idea that things must go the right way. This idea of what people are gonna say, the judgment of others. It's like no real person who understands this process is judging anybody, right? Because they know they're getting closer and closer and closer and closer to where they want to go. They're getting closer and closer and closer. They're becoming more aware, more clear. They're adapting, right? When you see somebody failing forward, failing their way through, you're like, oh shit, you can see somebody because you know what it looks like. Only people who don't know what it looks like are judging others. So if you can see this, nothing can stop a mind that understands itself. If you can see that that's what we do, that if you can see that, then you will move without hesitation. You won't play it safe. If you can see how safety, psychological safety, comfort, and security dulls the mind, and it makes the mind sluggish. It makes the mind unalert, unaware, confused. If you can see that, right, you won't play it safe. Think about what we're saying here, fam. Think about what we're saying. As soon as the mind says, I'm good, as soon as the mind says, I'm straight, as soon as the mind says, I've made it, psychologically, think about it. You take your foot off the gas. You're no longer urgent. You're no longer alert. You're no longer aware. You're no longer interested. You're no longer interested. When you say, I'm good, I got it. I don't have to observe. I don't have to be aware. I'm good. The mind starts to decline. The mind starts to take the foot off the gas and lose all interest. It loses interest in itself. It loses interest in what it's doing. It loses interest in all areas of life. But here's why, right? Here's why. Because when you don't think you're good, when you are not safe psychologically, when you're not comfortable, when you're betting on yourself, when you're going towards freedom, right? When you're jumping into the unknown, you can't be sluggish. You can't be lost, confused. You can't take your foot off the gas, right? You got to be alert. You got to be aware. You got to make adjustments. You got to be on, the mind has to be sharp at all times. It's kind of like what they say, when boxers, right? That hungry boxer who comes up into the game, right? That hungry, or any sports athlete, and especially in fighting, when they're hungry and they're working out in dungeons and in gyms and in basements and in mountains, some rocky type of stuff, when they're climbing up mountains and with logs, and the moment they become multi-millionaires, the moment that they say they're good, they've made it, that hunger goes away, right? And you see this all the time, where you see the best athletes in the world just be on top and then lose their spot, right? Because they got comfortable. And there was a quote. What was it? Oh, man, I forgot the quote. But I forgot who said it. It's a famous quote that it's hard to wake up at 4 a.m. when you waking up to silk sheets. Something like that, right? When the mind is comfortable, when one says, I've made it, I've got it, I'm done. While life is never ending, right? Life is never ending, yet one saying, I'm good psychologically. That's where they start to decline. That's when the mind starts to get sluggish and dull. That's when people need to stimulate their mind, always looking for something to do. Boredom creeps in. They suffer more in imagination than in actuality. Again, nothing can stop a mind that understands itself. Now, if you can understand that, and you understand that how the mind works, and you understand yourself, you understand that the moment you say you're good, you take your foot off the gas. The moment that, when you look at fear, how much how much is the biggest illusion of them all, and how much that's stopping you and creating your own limitations, right? When you see that failure is the biggest, is part of what we do and is the greatest teacher of them all, you will not move with hesitation. It's hard to get up and do road work at 4 a.m. when you're sleeping in silk sheets. That's exactly the quote right there. Exactly, right? But that's the same thing psychologically when the mind says, I'm good. You lose all interest. You lose all that sharpness goes away. And when that sharpness goes away, you're not paying attention to the smallest of details. You're not aware. You're not alert. So now you have millions of people who are looking to be comfortable, millions of people who are looking to be safe, millions of people who are looking to be, to have security of some kind psychologically, right? And they're living through life unaware. They're living through life not paying attention to the details. They're allowing life to happen to them, wondering what's going on. Why am I getting punched in the face all over the place? Like, why life is beating me? I don't understand. It's because there is no sharpness. When you're a kid, the sharpness is at an all-time high, right? Because you're interested. You're looking at things. You're picking it up. You're looking at it. You're questioning. You're observing. Every little thing becomes important. You're watching people. You're observing. You're questioning. You're like, hey, what's this, right? And that's when they say kids are innocent. They don't get it. They don't understand. They haven't been conditioned yet. They haven't been conditioned to think a certain way. So their mind is alert. Their mind is aware. Their mind is questioning because I don't know. I'm not good. I'm not comfortable, right? I don't get it. So I'm questioning things. I stand up and I fall on my ass. I stand back up. I fall on my ass. I stand back up and I do it until I start walking. Do we understand that? Do we see that? We do it until we start walking. Yet we start getting conditioned by people who don't understand themselves, which is our parents, our leaders, our people, of course, right? We get conditioned within these environments, the schools we go to, slowly and slowly conditioning the mind, getting further and further away from the understanding of oneself, right? We start getting into what we believe to be true instead of understanding what is true. We get to just accept these labels. You're this, you're from this culture, from this thing, from this place, from this thing. All of this comes with a way of life, a way of being, right? This is what you do. This is the language you're going to speak. This is this. And you're like, oh, okay, right? Now we're just breaking down what is. We're not breaking down whether this is right, this is good, this is bad, let's change the world. No, we're just breaking down what it actually is. So now as this little kid, this child who's the most alert, the most aware, learning everything for the first time because it doesn't understand, adapting, adjusting, right? Questioning, then it gets conditioned. It starts off wanting to know how to think, right? Starts off knowing how to think. And then it gets conditioned on what to think. Right? It gets conditioned on what to think. And because of that, people are living their entire life, never questioning themselves, never understanding themselves, right? And they live a life being told what to do, what to think, what to say, right? All these fears into their mind of what's going to happen if they don't do things a certain way. Again, further away from the understanding of oneself. Nothing can stop a mind that understands itself. The caption on this is awareness is freedom. What does this mean? It means, again, when you understand this entire process, you would not go down that direction. You would not be moving with hesitation. You move in a direction that you know you want to go. You know that the future's not here yet. You know that every single moment's a new moment. You know that every move you make is influencing the future towards a certain direction. You know that failure is the greatest teacher of them all. You know that fear is the biggest illusion of them all. You know to observe, to question, to not accept, because you know how sensitive the mind is. You can already just think about how you're scrolling online. You do not know the stories at all behind the scenes, yet you come up with assumptions on what's happening based on perception of what you see, right? Based on the conclusions in your mind that this is what it means to be happy. This is what it means to be successful. This is what it means to be whatever the fuck. This is what it means to be sad. So you're coming up with all these stories in your mind about other people and what you believe to be true, right? Without any form of question, and then you just accept that. Without realizing that you know nothing. Without realizing that you know nothing. Can you imagine you jumped on social media and said, I know nothing? And because you know nothing, you don't judge anybody. You don't get discouraged about anything. You won't compare yourself to anybody. I know nothing. The only thing I know is the moves that I'm making behind the scenes. The only thing I know is the moves I'm making when no one's watching. The only thing I know is myself, right? And I know that I don't know myself. And that's something that's very, very, very important. I know that I don't know myself. And that right there is the start of awareness. That right there has opened up a whole new world, right? A world where I do not accept what I see psychologically within myself, within the world. A world where I observe and I focus on what is, not what I wish it was. Not what I wish it was. So I start questioning my thoughts. I start questioning why I feel a certain way. I start questioning the moves I'm making. I start questioning my outlook on life. I start questioning the environment I'm in. I start questioning why am I viewing the world this way? I start questioning deeply, 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 because nothing can stop a mind that understands itself. Does this make sense? Are we on here? Give me some fire emojis if you're loving this, fam. Give me some fire emojis if you're loving this. Who's finding value in this? Give me some fire emojis. If you're on here and you're finding this valuable, give me some fire emojis below, fam. Give me some fire emojis. Also, if you haven't done so yet, sign up for my daily awareness journal. The link is in my bio. My daily awareness journal. Every single day, I'm speaking these facts. Every single day, I'm bringing reminders to the truth. Sign up to my daily journal right now. The link is in my bio, fam. The link is in my bio. There's about 37 entries in. It's like a full book. Well, not 37 pages of a book, but eventually this thing's going to be like a full-blown book. So it's like a new page to my never-ending book. The link is in my bio, fam. Daily Awareness Journal. It's only $5 a month. $5 a month. Sign up for that. Give me some fire emojis. Give me some fire emojis. All right, family. Yo, I appreciate you for being on. I love you guys. I'm going to post a replay to my YouTube channel. I didn't post Mondays. I haven't put up Mondays yet. I will put up Mondays today as well. So those of you who missed Mondays live, I'm going to put that up. I'm going to put this live up today as well. Listen, sign up for my daily journal. Again, trust me. Trust me, this is good stuff. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. The link is in my bio. Sign up for my daily awareness journal. I can promise you that you won't be disappointed. Love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.